Welcome to Academy Answers Podcast, a show dedicated to inspiring and providing actionable advice on life, business, happiness, success, and reaching your full potential. Have you ever felt frustrated that life isn't working out the way you expected? Have you been searching for answers without success? You've come to the right place. Each week, we bring you perspectives, ideas, and actionable content. We share with you proven and time-tested step-by-step strategies to help you live the life you deserve and make your dreams a reality. From health to finances to relationships to business, we provide the insights and strategies you need to reach your full potential. So buckle up and plug in, because Academy Answers Podcast is about to take you to a new level of personal success.
Hey my friends, welcome to the podcast. Always a pleasure to have you here. And if you're just finding us, this is the Academy Answers Podcast, where we discuss questions we get on personal development. It's a personal development podcast. Freedom, happiness, financial freedom, and the pursuit of full potential. And that's what we go over. That's what we discuss on this podcast. That's what we believe in. That's what we're about. That's what we dedicate this podcast to. So people reach out to us over the years. We've been doing this since 2014. People reach out to us over the years to have their questions answered when we get into the discussions on Facebook and blog and our email list. And we answer them personally, anonymously, but we also kind of, decided to do this podcast to answer it at scale, so we can actually help other people. It can be found years to come. It can be out there long after we're not here. And then we learn that people usually have the same problems no matter what walks of life. And once we can learn from each other, then we can stand on each other's shoulder, and we don't have to make the same mistakes that people before us made. So this question, someone asked me, what's a life lesson you have learned from the most unexpected person? And I thought long and hard about it, and I decided to use a lesson that I've learned from a friend of mine back in my school days, my early years of going to grade school. In first world country, they call it grade school. In Jamaica, and I think we from the British system, so in the Caribbean we say primary and secondary. Here it's kind of different. We say, you say kindergarten, grade school, college. Grade school, high school. We say basic school, primary school, high school, college. That's how we say it in the Caribbean. I think that was adopted from the British system. Anyway, so when I was about 7 years old, because if you do it in years, it's probably easier and more, easier to relate instead you have to jump between two systems. So when I was in about grade 4, I remember we used to play this game where we use rubber bands. Like, it would be a cluster of us as boys, mainly. We would be a cluster of us, like maybe 6, 7, 8, or anybody who want to join. Usually it's probably 8, 9, 10 of us, between 5 and 10 of us. We played this game on where we have rubber bands that we hit on the wall. Rubber band bounces and fall on the ground. Someone will hit their rubber band on the wall, and we take turns doing that. Whichever rubber band goes over another rubber band first, that person takes up all the rubber bands on the ground. So it will be a bunch of people throwing rubber bands. Somehow rubber bands was some form of a possession to us, and it was a game, but everybody was happy to have it. It's a thrill of winning. It's having all these rubber bands, and we would, make a big deal of it every lunchtime, every evening, every time we get spare time. We play a lot of games, but that was one of the games that rotate. I think it has seasons, so that was one of the games we played at some point in time in the year. So we were doing that at the back of the school one lunchtime, a whole cluster of boys, and as we were doing it, I was not the best. We call the game bounce. I was not the best player. My bouncing skills were pretty much mediocre, if nothing. So I somehow had a winning streak that week, so I had a lot of rubber bands coming into that week, and somehow my luck started to change, and I wasn't winning so much, and I was dwindling down. Got into 3 big games and I lose a bunch, and I think I had maybe about 30 pieces of rubber bands on my hand in my possession that I own. And then this game we were in now was playing for so long, nobody would get that rubber band to bounce over the other one, so it was stretching out, stretched out until all my rubber bands were on the ground and people were still hitting. And then when I had the last one, I hit the last one, the guy who came after me got the winning bounce, and he just took them all up. It was a load of rubber band, and I was so certain that I was going to win it, because the last bounce I made just edged off another one. And I was like, oh, I edged off the rubber band. So instead of sitting on it, it edged off. You don't get to take it up if it comes off. And I was really upset and mad, and realized that I could have gone with all of that. That would have kind of pulled me back from the winning streak that I was to the winning streak, pulled me back from the losing streak that I was on. And it was very disheartening. And I took up all of them, and this guy who was in the same class with me started to jeer me. He was playing too, and he jeered me and he was laughing, because I think maybe I had won most of his rubber bands in the week, and he was jeering me and laughing, and I got so upset, and he was saying crazy stuff and just carrying on, and he wouldn't stop, and I got more and more riled up, and I couldn't hold it back any longer. I just jumped at him, and when I jumped at him, there was this stone in the path, and I hit my foot on it. My ankle almost shattered. I hit my foot so hard on it, and I fell forward. And if you look at my head when I get a haircut, like I usually cut my head hair low, and I think I have 10 injuries in my head. My head got damaged, burst 4 or 5 times. I got so many of them, 10 times I think. I think it was 10 the last time I counted. So that was one of them that's on the side of my head now, because I used to get into stone throwing affairs that lasted until the night with the sub community in the house when I was a kid. I did wild things. So I fell forward, hit my head, blood started spilling from everywhere, and then the teacher came. Long story short, good, that's okay. I went home. Grandma was upset that I hit my head, played out, nothing major. Thank God nothing happened to me. I never got a concussion or anything. So fast forward, when I was about 14, that's talking about 7, 8, and now we're about 14 years old. I was going to the bus stop one day. I'm walking, that 3-mile walk that I talk about all the time. 3 miles to the bus stop, 3 miles back home. I was on that 3 miles trek, and I ran into the guy. I think he caught up with me when I was walking, and we were walking and talking. All that blew over, we were kids. Nobody remember that, but for a little lull in the conversation, he blurted out that, and I still think about, or sometimes I remember very vividly, how the blood was coming from your head, and I am just sorry that had to happen, man. I'm sorry about it. I never meant for it to happen. But then he went on to say something really, really, really powerful, and really, really testing. And I'll just take a break to get a message from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to you, and I'll tell you exactly what he said, where the life lesson came in. I'll be right back.